Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please just give me the thumbs up that I'm good to go. Hi, everyone. Hold on. I've got my phone on. I'm putting the phone down. Okay. Thumbs up. I need thumbs up from everybody. Hi, everybody. Let us know that you're here and where you guys are tuning in from. I see Judy, hi, Jane, Linda, Jackie from Philly, Linda Blair from Utah, Sue from Colorado, Cheryl, hi, Judy, Mary, Rosemary, Phyllis, hi, everybody. So glad you guys could join us tonight. I'm so glad that you're here with us. So we're going to get started shortly. Welcome to part 3 of Dr. Westman's Keto Workshop series. This is part 3 of 4. So again, next week we'll have part 4, same time, Monday, which will be the final session next week. But before we get started today, I wanted to announce our 2 book winners this week, who are going to be getting a signed copy of Dr. Westman's book, End Your Carb Confusion. So if one of you are not local, obviously we'll send a hard copy to you, a signed hard copy if you're local here in the US. But if you're not local, we will send you an unsigned digital copy. So either way, you'll get a copy, one in the mail and one digital if you're not from here. Okay, drum roll. Our 2 winners this week are, I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly, Sindala Darling. Sindala Darling is the first, and the second is Kenneth Stegall or Stegall. Kenneth Stegall and Sindala Darling. Congratulations to both of you. If you could email us at academy@adaptyourlife.com with the subject line book winner and today's date, together with your mailing address, we will get that book sent out to you as soon as possible. And then a reminder that we're going to be picking another 2 winners tonight. So do you remember what you have to do in order to win? I'll remind you now. So the first thing you have to do is share tonight's broadcast. Or the second is leave a reply on this post or a comment on this post with a hashtag takeaway, followed by the takeaway you had during tonight's presentation. And remember, the more you share, the more chances you have of winning. So go ahead and share away. We want to reach as many people as we possibly can around the world. All right, and then next week I'll let you know who the 2 winners are. Same as tonight, I'll announce those 2 winners before we start. So tonight's session, part 3 of 4, Dr. Westman is going to be talking about the keto foods you can have versus the keto foods that are suggested on the internet. So this is going to be quite an eye-opener, I would imagine, to many of you who follow internet keto, which is not based on the science. And Dr. Westman's also going to talk about how, we call his keto method prescription strength keto. So it's the strongest method of keto that can give you the most amount of benefits the fastest way, and how he's able to deprescribe many medications for most of his patients. So he's going to talk about that, and then that's it. Let's get to our presentation today. I'm going to bring Dr. Westman on right now. Doc, are you there? Are you ready?
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you.
Good. So today's session, we're talking about the keto food list, the Adapt Keto Food List versus the Internet Keto Food List.
Yeah.
So can you give our viewers a little insight as to why tonight's presentation is so important for everybody that's watching?
Well, this is really the most important information you need to know. It's how to eat nutritious food to get all the nutrients you need from your food without products and pills and that version of keto where people want to sell you things. And even today, people come in and they say that, oh, keto is so expensive. And I looked at them and say, what do you mean? And they're buying all of these fancy products and thinking that that's what keto means. And, well, that's internet keto, not the keto based on real food that I've been teaching for 20 years and doctors have been using for 150 years. So I hope to clarify a few of those sticking points. And often people will, as we've learned in the master classes, will learn and then correct on their own a few things and have it work.
Absolutely. Okay, wonderful. Well, with that, I'm going to take myself away and I will hand it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Again, I'm Dr. Eric Westman. I've been at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina for 30 years and using a low-carb keto diet for the last 20 years. And it's been exciting to see keto become more popular. But at the same time, I'm concerned that people get the wrong messages about what it means to be a keto diet. And as I mentioned, that people come in drinking ketone products or eating keto foods. And it's almost like if a food says great for a keto diet right now, don't have that, is what I tell people. And so let me explain to you why. I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint here. It will take me just a moment. So this is the third part of a 4-part series, a Keto Workshop, to try to teach you the basics that you need to get started. And today we'll talk about the keto diet basics in terms of the food to eat and not to eat on a keto diet. Again, I'm an associate professor of medicine at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. The first part of this series, we talked about how evidence-based keto is safe and effective for obesity and type 2 diabetes when it's done right. So I went through the painful slides of all of the different studies that have been done. Thank you for bearing with me on that one. But I think it's important for you to know that this is a very scientific approach. And beware of the use of products or methods that may impair the success and safety of the approach, something we call internet keto. Of course, if any medical conditions are present, you're taking prescription medications, then monitoring to safely deprescribe or come off these medications is needed. In the second part of the workshop, last time, I talked about how carbohydrates, which are sugars and starches, raise the blood sugar and raise the insulin. This high blood sugar and insulin directly cause many chronic illnesses or make them worse. Type 2 diabetes is only one of them. That's the most obvious because it's a problem of elevated blood sugar. Why would you eat something with lots of sugar in it if you had a problem of elevated blood sugar, right? So you can be carbohydrate intolerant even if your blood sugar is normal. And in this part of the workshop, we talked about how chronically or long-term high insulin is a major driver of illness, even when blood sugars are normal. So you may have a problem if all you're measuring is the blood sugar and not the insulin. It's something your doctor has to measure. And the most powerful way to lower the blood sugar and insulin is to stop eating the foods that raise them the most, which are the sugars and the starches or the carbohydrates. So how I teach the keto diet, we've called this several things: uncomplicated keto, simple keto, classic keto. You may know this as lazy, dirty keto, or lazy because you don't have to measure lots of things, but lazy in a good way. It's not like you're a slacker. It's you're very efficient. You don't have to do a whole lot and it'll still work. We call it prescription strength keto because it's as powerful as many different drugs, and also to give it that level of respect and caution. If you're taking medications, you may need to have professional help to take you off the medicines. But there are a few things we talk about that might be news to you if you've learned Internet Keto. Internet Keto will tell you you must have ketones, you must have lots of fats, and ketones come from what you eat and drink. Well, that's not what we teach. We want your fats to come from the fat on your body. So if you're trying to lose body fat, you don't want to drink or eat fats and oils. You're going to become a fat burner even without doing all those things. So what we say is protein comes first. So you can run your body on carbs or fat. It's your choice. And the choice is based on what you choose to eat and drink. So if you eat and drink carbs, your body has to burn those carbs, the sugars and the starches. But if you're trying to lose body fat or fix diabetes, which is a problem of being stuck in carbohydrate burning, then you don't want to eat carbs and sugar to burn your body fat. And that's the simple answer for what's going on behind the scenes. If you don't eat sugars and starches, your body looks around and says, well, I need to find something to burn. And then it finds the fat in your body that's already there, opens it up and starts using it. So really a keto diet is not about drinking ketones or having products and more fats. It's about keeping the carbs very low so your body is forced or decides to start burning its own fat. So the way we teach this is when you're hungry, eat as much as you want of these foods until you're comfortably full. And I can say that because I know your hunger will go down and your feeling of needing to eat all the time goes away. Your appetite goes down. So you eat until you're comfortably full of meat, poultry, fish and shellfish, and eggs. And by meat, I mean beef, like hamburgers and steak, and it doesn't matter what kind. It could be the beef brisket here in the South. It could be the filet mignon. It could be the barbecue in the Midwest or out West. Pork, ham, bacon, lamb, sausage, pepperonis, hot dogs, or other meats. There are no carbs or a trivial amount of carbs in these, so you can eat until you're comfortably full of these types of foods. Poultry like chicken, turkey, duck, other fowl has no carbs. You can eat as much as you want. Fish and shellfish, tuna, salmon, catfish, tilapia, it doesn't matter. Any of these are fine. Of course, you want to be careful about breading that's on any of these foods, especially the fish or the chicken, which means, if you buy it at the store, the restaurant, the fast food place, you want to be careful that you're not eating the carbs in the coating of these foods. And then whole eggs are permitted, even yolks and whites. It turns out that the egg yolks are very nutritious and the eggs will raise your good cholesterol. So when someone says, oh, but won't eggs raise your cholesterol? I say, yes, they raise your good cholesterol. So don't worry about eating too many eggs. And at the bottom here, I didn't add this in until recently when people start adding oils to their coffees and buying this expensive medium chain triglyceride and coconut oil and all. You don't need to do any of that. So what I teach was worked out before any of these current keto products or keto hacks came about. So don't avoid fat in the real foods that you eat. You don't have to eat lean meats that can have fat in them or fatty fish, and don't add fat if you're trying to lose fat weight off of your body. And that's an important point to remember, that your body will make its own ketones by just not eating the carbs. Your body will draw upon its own fat and generate ketones from your own body fat. So this common source of confusion, the ketones are generated in your own body on its own without adding them in the diet or from products that you purchase. So when I look at these foods all give you complete proteins, which are amino acids, which you have to eat. They can come from meat, they can come from vegetables, but I worry less if you have your amino acids from the meat and fish and eggs sources, just because you're going to get complete proteins without having to mix and match different types of vegetables, for example. Funny, someone will come to me with looking at the meat section and say, well, you say bacon, can it be pork bacon? Yes, it can. And could it be turkey bacon? Yes, it can, as long as there isn't carbohydrate added to it. So if you're more comfortable eating those sorts of foods, that's fine. And some people are surprised that you can have hot dogs or even canned meats. Like in some areas of the country, they like to have canned meats, potted meat, or Spam, or Vienna sausages. I didn't know what these were until recently, but they have good sources of nutrition without the carbohydrates, and those are just fine to have. So really, the main source of nutrition, if someone's hungry only once a day and they don't want to eat much, I do ask them to eat a little bit from this slide, from this source of foods: the meat, poultry, fish, and shellfish, and eggs. It's the best source of nutrition that we know about. Now, to round out the vitamin nutritional profile and to help with things like regularity and just kind of enjoyment of meals, you can have 2 cups of leafy greens and 1 cup of a non-starchy vegetable, but that's for the whole day. And then I require that people stay to this list of foods so that I know that you're not going to be getting many carbohydrates from these foods. These are carefully calculated to be very low, meaning very low in starch, very low in sugar, very low in carbs. But so 2 fistfuls of leafy greens is about 2 cupfuls. Compare your fist to a measuring cup. And yes, I've seen some people, their fists are half a cup and some are twice that size, but just get comfortable with estimating the size of a fist in a cup, because you don't have to take a cup or a measurement scale to determine this. You don't have to be that careful because the carbs are so low in these foods. So eating a limited amount of greens, leafy greens, 2 cups measured uncooked a day, and you don't have to have them uncooked. You can cook them. It's just some of these greens reduce down from a large volume, so you want to just make sure that you measure them uncooked. But that could be arugula, bok choy, cabbage, chard, chives, endive, greens like beet greens, collards, mustard, kale, lettuce, parsley, spinach, radicchio, radishes, scallion, and watercress. So those greens will give you some fiber and some nutrients there. The non-starchy vegetables, 1 cup a day, not per meal, that's per day, include artichokes, asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. There are dozens of things you can do with cauliflower rice, cauliflower in the pizza crust, cauliflower mashed potato, mashed cauliflower, all sorts of things you can do to substitute for things you used to have with these foods. Cauliflower is a workhorse vegetable on this kind of dietary plan for most people. You can have celery, cucumber, eggplant, green beans, jicama, leeks, mushrooms, okra, onions, peppers, pumpkin, rhubarb, shallots, snow peas, sprouts, sugar snap peas, summer squash, tomatoes, wax beans, zucchini. The sum total of all of the non-starchy vegetable matter for the day should be about a cup. So it's not a cup per meal. If a vegetable is on some of your lettuce called a salad, the vegetable is still a vegetable. And some people double their vegetables without knowing it, meaning having more carbs, because they don't count the vegetable when it's on a salad, and they add in a side vegetable over estimating the amount for the day. So you want to keep that, and that would make your carbs be a little too high for the day. So just be careful. It's the sum total of all vegetables for the day is 1 cup. Now, foods that are allowed in limited quantities, and these have been developed through the years in clinics that have used these types of diets. You can have cheese up to 4 ounces a day, but there's a limit on the cheese because some people have trouble limiting the cheese, and it becomes what we call a trigger food, meaning it triggers your hunger and you can't stop eating it. So if you have some cheese in the morning, then afternoon, then evening, and even later, and it adds up, you're going to get a lot of calories. And while we don't typically talk about calories because the amount of calories goes down automatically for just about everyone, the high calorie foods here, the cheese, creams and oils, and mayonnaise, have to be limited because for some people, they'll overdo it, and that becomes a source of very high calories, and even a keto diet won't work if you consume too many calories. So cheese, it doesn't really matter what kind of cheese. And if you're, you think only that there's cheddar and mozzarella, think again. Go explore all of the wonderful cheeses that are available, even in just about every grocery store. You can even send away to get cheese, and they'll go over how to eat it with you on the internet through classes, if you like, if you're trying to explore new types of cheeses. Creams and oils, this is probably another source. So too much cheese, too much cream is a source of a keto diet not working, because people are adding cream to the coffee or other areas, and the amount is not limited. So the unlimited foods were those meats that have zero carbs. They don't raise the blood sugar, don't raise the insulin. They're not fattening. Here, these foods can elicit a bit of an insulin response and can be high calories. So you want to limit the cheese, creams and oils, and even mayonnaise. And I've run, into people for whom cheese is a trigger food. They can't stop eating it. Cream and oils are trigger foods. They can't stop eating them. Mayonnaise is a trigger food. They can't stop eating it. So be sure that these are limited. Now, olives up to 6 a day, avocado, half of a fruit a day, lemon lime juice up to 2 teaspoons a day, soy sauce 2 tablespoons a day, pickles, dill, or sugar-free up to 2 servings a day. These are things that have just been added in for variety and tastefulness, and for adding salt, adding flavor to different variety to make the dietary approach be a little more flexible. But you want to stay to this limitation on a program that, again, will work just about every time. Like a prescription drug, it's not only strong, but it's also going to be effective and reliably effective. Now, if it's a zero carb snack, meaning the zero carbs and doesn't raise the blood sugar, doesn't raise the insulin, it's really unlimited, meaning it's a free food. And so sugar-free Jell-O is probably the most popular source of a sweet treat. And in my experience, it's okay to have sugarless or sugar-free products, things that are sweetened without sugar. And I don't know that one of these sweeteners are better than another. You just watch the total carbs and find the one that's tastiest for you. It doesn't cause any side effects. Sugar-free Jell-O with a little bit of whipped cream on it is a great sweet treat. And pork rinds in the South in North Carolina, where I work and live, it's sort of a comfort food even. And I didn't know what a pork rind was until I moved to North Carolina. There are these crunchy things made, puffed up skin of the pig, and they have no carbs, and they really make the chip and crunchy potato chip or tortilla chip substitute. You dip them in things for flavor and to moisten them. They're really pretty versatile. Pork rinds can actually be a coating for the chicken and fish and pork chops if you want to fry those foods. So you can have fried foods, just not the coatings that have carbs in the coating of fried foods. Or if it's a fried food that is just carbohydrate, of course, you can't have that, but because it'll raise the blood sugar. Pepperoni slices are very popular, low-carb jerkies, beef jerky. Some people make their own jerky. Some products, they add sugar to it, so be careful of the high sugar types of jerkies. Boiled eggs are fine. I want you to eat the egg yolks and the egg whites because it's a great source of nutrition. So these are the zero carb snacks that a lot of people go to at first. But when this is working at its best, you're not even going to be hungry and want to snack on anything, because you'll be snacking from your own body fat. So that's the goal, is to become such a good fat burner that you don't feel the need to snack at all. So this kind of keto diet does not require, and these are things I've seen over the last couple of years from Internet Keto. So this kind of program that I teach does not require a computer app. It does not require counting of macros. It really becomes automatic when you stick to this type of food. There's no need to purchase keto products or keto foods. medium chain triglyceride oil, all these things, apple cider vinegar. There's no need for any of those things. You get all the nutrition from the food that you eat. And then your body generates its own ketones from your own body fat. There's no need to eat or drink ketones. Ketones come from your own body fat. There's no need to calculate net carbs or even total carbs for that matter if you just stick to the list of foods that we teach you. And there's no need to measure the blood ketones or urine ketones. And sometimes that causes confusion because some people never do show what's called ketosis on these measurements. So if you are measuring those things, you're getting success, the hunger's gone, the weight's going down, but you're not in, quote, ketosis by blood measurement or urine measurement, that's okay. The point is not to show the ketones. The point is to get the hunger going down and the weight going down or diabetes getting better. Some people just never generate those ketones. We don't know why, but that's okay. It still works. And the goal is not to get the ketones, the goal is to get the success or the results of whatever you're trying to do with this dietary approach. So to sum up, a keto diet can be based on the real foods like I've outlined. It doesn't require any outside nutrients or supplements or products. The most important nutrient to consume on a keto diet is protein, not ketones, not fat. Your body fat will give you the energy that you need. The most important thing to focus on is having protein. Now, once you know the most nutritious foods to eat on the keto diet, the level of carbohydrate to achieve ketosis varies. It varies on the individual, but the less than 20 gram total carbs per day approach will work for everyone. And that's why I start with that. So when I teach this, I want it to work the first time, every time. Let's not mess around with it, maybe working, maybe not. So if you're not having results with it, what you've been doing, you've been overwhelmed by the complicating sorts of things that you think are part of a keto diet based on the internet keto approach, our approach will probably help you and simplify things and probably even make it effective if it stopped working for you from what you've learned on the internet. And of course, if medical conditions are present, then monitoring to safely deprescribe medicines is needed. So the most powerful medicine that I get to take away is insulin. Insulin is a medicine that lowers the blood sugar, immediately. And so if someone's taking insulin for diabetes, I lower or sometimes even eliminate insulin on the first day of starting this diet. The diet is that strong. So often these medications for diabetes, for high blood pressure, are really just treating the food that you're eating. So as we change the food, we have to change the medications as well. So I require my patients to measure their blood sugars at home. They get a monitor, the blood sugar finger prick meter or the continuous glucose monitor. Those are fine. Either one's fine. But you have to be monitoring the blood glucose if you're taking diabetes medicine and be ready to reduce or eliminate those medicines with the doctor's supervision. High blood pressure medicines, I require my patients to measure the blood pressure at home or to be able to measure it at the office, the clinic, the pharmacy, because the blood pressure will come down as well. It's not as fast as the diabetes medicine, but it will happen. And I really want that home monitoring for the safety of using this in people who are on medical prescription strength medicines. So putting it a different way, this will prevent you, if you're not on all of those medicines yet, or you're being threatened to be put on those medicines, this kind of approach will prevent you from getting onto those medicines. And I'll get into that next week. Let me just stop the screen sharing here for a moment. So next week, what I'm going to do is explain to you what's really starkly coming to me today, as someone who's been a doctor now for 35 years, that our medical system is very quick to prescribe medications. And even today, we train our internal medicine residents at Duke to use medications. And they don't know anything about the lifestyle sort of thing, that food thing. And so my secret weapon is actually I use the food to prevent and treat these medical problems in a way that the medicines just can't do. So I'll get into great detail next week, same time, Monday night, 7:30, to explain to you the view of the different pathways you could choose. You can eat whatever you want and take these medicines, and doctors will be happy to help you. Not me, I'm not happy. I'll at least offer you this other opportunity, which is to change what you eat, change your lifestyle, and then you don't need to have those medicines. In fact, we might even turn you around that pathway and get you back to where you don't even need those medicines at all. And of course, the end situation that I'd love to have happen eventually is that children, young adults are taught about this before they even come near any sort of medical problem. So the prevention of these problems is really the key to helping on a grand scale the problems that sugar and starches have created for people. And of course, what I teach you has come from a clinic using this in people who have or trying to prevent or already have medical problems. And it's been exciting to see my secret weapon of using food as being more powerful than medications. I have to de-prescribe these medicines, and there's no one happier than to get off of insulin. Even I've had someone taking insulin shots for 20 years stop the insulin in as little as just 2 or 3 weeks. It's pretty incredibly unbelievable, which means people don't believe it. But so that's the food, the basics. And if I was a little too fast for you, review it again. We have more information about how to help you learn that coming up. And next time, please come back for the talking about the 2 paths, medications or lifestyle, 2 pathways in terms of medication and medical problems. And then also we'll have time for question and answer next time. So get your typing ready and to put the questions in. We can see them here. So a lot of Q&A time. And then we'll be bringing in some success stories of people telling their story about what's happened to them when they start a lifestyle like this one. The results are really, really incredible. So let me bring Lisa back.
Hi.
Hi. So it's a pretty simple list of foods, isn't it?
Absolutely. There's a lot of confusion out there, unfortunately, but we are here to clarify, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. The more people we can reach, the better. I've often said to you, it's quite sad in that there's so many easy keto for beginners or starting keto or how to start keto. I mean, these groups exist all over Facebook, and never mind that, Doc, they have hundreds of thousands of people in these groups that are doing keto wrong. They have hundreds of pounds to lose in terms of weight loss, Yeah. So when we say wrong, obviously, we're talking about from a weight loss standpoint when people are trying to reach their fat macros and they are, typing into the group, I'm struggling to reach my fat macros for the day, and my app tells me that I've still got to do X amount of fat macros, and it's really quite sad when these people have so much weight to lose and they wonder why they can't lose weight, Yeah, so.
On the other hand, I'm kind of impressed that you can learn how to do it in many different ways. And to get started, there are a lot of different ways that work because it's really the sugar that's the issue. And but it doesn't have to be all that complicated. So if you've come into this and you've had some success and it stopped working because of all of these other things, we can actually help to make it more simple and then teach you these basics and it'll start working again. So I'm hopeful that what we teach will help people not to bail out and say, oh, yet again, this didn't work for me. And no, it is important to learn correctly. And but if you've gotten into this based on something that's not quite going to work for your whole journey, don't bail out. Just come to learn something new, something that is not quite so complicated, and something that's been around for over 100 years. I mean, that's why I think what we teach, is not the popular following at the moment, because what we teach is the kind of the turtle and the hare sort of fable. What we teach is reliable, and it works, and it works well, and so
and it gets results, as opposed to the person that's trying to keto-fy everything by having the almond flours and the fats, and they basically want to eat their cake and have their cake and eat it too, whereas our prescription strength keto works, and we get results. And if you're on medications, I mean, that's why Doc is able to de-prescribe so many medications for his patients, so we pride ourselves on that. And then let's see, I'm just reading here if I've missed anything to let you know tonight. Just again, reminding you to share as much as you can tonight's session if you want to win a signed copy of Dr. Westman's book, End Your Carb Confusion. And great session tonight, Doc.
Well, it's the basics, it's the fundamentals, and from learning the fundamentals, you can go in so many different directions that we've seen people.
And we know a lot of you have questions. I mean, there's hundreds of questions that are coming in right now. We are live streaming on 8 different platforms. So you may not see them if you're on one platform, but we can see all of them coming in. We will have a long Q&A session after next Monday, after Dr. Westman's finished with his 2 pathways video, which is incredible if you haven't seen it. And then we'll get into Q&A. And as Doc said, we're going to bring on a couple of success stories for you. And during the week, next week, we're going to have different success stories come on to share their stories with you, which are all very inspiring. So that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next week, Doc.
Thank you. See you then.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.